Welcome to Sacred Harmony, where faith meets fitness and wellness becomes worship. Today, we are joined by Michelle Spadafora, founder of Faithful Workouts, who spent over 40 years transforming how people move, eat, and think about health. Her message is simple yet revolutionary. True fitness starts in the heart, not the gym. Welcome to the show, Michelle. It's such an honor to have you.
Thank you so much. I love that we get to sit here and talk together.
Mhm. So, Michelle, you've been in the fitness industry for decades. What first made you realize that something essential was missing in most fitness plans?
So, yeah, as you mentioned, I started teaching classes in 1984. And back then, it was kind of the height of the 1980s, the fitness craze, the leg warmers, the headbands, the thongs, that whole thing. And it was all about the scene. So it was kind of just like be there, stretch your stuff. It's all about how you look and all of that. And I was right in there with it. That was kind of where my mind was at that time. But I did know even back then that so many people would fail. I would work in a gym, and on January, the gym would just be packed with people. And I just knew by about February 5th, it's going to start, there's going to be back to the normal size. And as people would just get in, go hard, and then they would fall off track. And so it just made me sad. I was like, wow, why are all these people like struggling so much to stay committed to their plan? I mean, I think every one of us would say our health matters, but what was getting in the way of them really sticking to it? And that, kind of took me on this deep dive into lasting change, not just when it comes to physical health, but just lasting change. Like, what is at the base of change? And I noticed that typically in gyms, there's a lot of things that aren't being addressed when it comes to really giving people like setting them up for success when it comes to reaching their fitness goals.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And was there a moment or experience that sparked your decision to integrate faith into fitness?
Exactly, yes, so, like, when I started in '84, I, did not have any faith. I grew up in a wonderful home, but not a home that was faithful at all filled with faith or church or any experience like that, and, back when I was about 40 years old, I had had 3 kids in 3 years. I had my own business. My husband traveled, and I think if there's any time you're gonna reach out for help, it's with at that. So, I just really was kind of like, "God, what is missing in my life? What do I need?" And I just felt like I needed to go to church, which was crazy because I didn't really know anyone going to church. I didn't know anyone who faith was a big part of their life, but I just felt in my spirit this was what I was supposed to do. So, I did it. I talked to my husband, he's like, "Alright, sure, whatever, let's give it a try." And I realized how my faith really was impacting all areas of my life. And I wanted to live differently, not because I was trying to get God to love me more, but because I felt loved and cared for. One, I wanted to live differently, and that was definitely about how I was caring for my body. And that took me on a journey to research into really how does faith play into overall health, and what are some things that I could do to help people to incorporate faith into what they're doing so that they can make lasting healthy changes. So, to answer your question, what started this off was just my own personal journey of realizing that I was living a life thinking it was all pretty good for the most part, but not understanding how much more God had for me and how much my faith could really help me with all parts of my life.
Yeah. And that's such an inspiring shift, like turning exercise from a chore into a form of spiritual connection.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think most people think about it. Like, one, when's the last time, if you're listening, when's the last time you asked God for help when it comes to making lasting changes? I believe that God hears us. He wants to talk to us. He wants to help us. He wants to help us to live the full life. He wants us to have a body full of health. And so if if we care about our health, so does God. And so we should go and first ask him to help us, which is an amazing first step. But I think often, we can go to prayer and ask for something, but we don't really believe that he can do anything. Believe that he even cares. So I kind of call this the ABCs of fitness. A, ask for help. B, believe he can help you. Do you believe that? Do you just ask a God or whatever you picture in your mind God is, do you just like throw it up there to say, yeah, I did. I prayed, I asked for help. Or do you really believe that he cares enough about you and wants to help you and set you up to be able to meet these goals? And then the C of these ABCs is to check your motives. Like why? Know your why. Why do you want to make changes when it comes to exercise and how you're eating and caring for your body? Your why needs to be big because there's so many things that are gonna try to pull you away from it. And for me, I found that when my why lined up more with God's will for my life, that's where it really made a difference. So, what I mean by that, there is nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight, drop sizes, look a certain way. But when you add to that, that you want the strength and energy to be able to go out and love and serve others so that you can be the hands and feet of God, then it's a deeper reason. And I think one that also God's like, yeah, I want to be here. I want to be here to help you. I love that that's your heart, that you want to, have strength and energy to serve the people I love. And so I just think that's been a real help for me is just to know, you know, we ask, we have to believe. And then big one is just check your motives. What is your why?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And you also often say that transformation begins in the heart. How do you help people bridge the gap between physical goals and like inner growth?
Mhm. Yeah, when I think of, like, it starts in your heart, like, we have a brain, obviously, right? And our brain actually has something deeper and bigger that's telling it what to do and how to perform, and then it carries out those tasks. And so we have to go deep, deep, deep and say, "What are the lies or the truth that I'm believing when it comes to myself, when it comes to the world, when it comes to exercise and all of it?" And so often, without even knowing it, there's this lie inside of us that's telling us we'll never change. Look at your past. You've tried this before. You're never going to change. And so what happens is when you have this deep rooted kind of lie, but you don't know it's a lie, you think it's the truth, you're going out into your day believing you're someone who can't change. And this is all medical science that we then go into our day with this what's called confirmation bias. Your brain believes something, you'll never change, so you go into your day looking for ways to back up what your brain is telling you. And so if we don't go after the thought that's holding us back, the lies that are holding us back, I mean, I hear, I'm too old. I don't have time. I'm a 5 week person. Every time I hit 5 weeks, I quit. My family history. But, and these are these very large statements that are lies that are holding you back. And so we have to go and think about our thoughts. Like, what is that thought that I need to address that is holding me back from making the changes in the way I'm living and the changes in the way I'm exercising? And if you don't address those thoughts, the chances of you succeeding are so low. I mean, if anyone has looked up how many of people who lose weight keep it off, or how many people who start an exercise plan keep with it long term, it's about a 3-4%, very low. And I think it's too often because we're just trying to change behavior. It's called behavior modification, and it doesn't work. We can't change behavior unless we have these deep rooted lies and truths. We get rid of the lies, we focus on the truths, we believe that with God's help, we can do anything. And then we go and try to set up a new eating plan and a new way to exercise.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's amazing. Do you find that once people connect spiritually, their physical results follow more naturally?
Absolutely. Because again, it's that confirmation bias. So if you believe I am someone worthy of self care, I actually love myself, even with all my imperfections. I love myself. I want to do what's right for my body. And so, again, you're going off into your day with this confirmation bias that you're trying to You believe that you're a good person, you believe you're worthy of self-care, so you go off into your day still trying to then back that up. Now, mind you, it's still hard. I'm not saying that's the only thing that's going to change. There's some very practical things we need to do. We need to make a plan. You need to have, here's when I'm gonna exercise, here's my meal plan, here's my shopping list. The more that we have a plan, that can really help. So your thoughts are the starting point, but that's not the end all. Once you have those thoughts that you're really working on, you then start to put some practical things in place. There's a great book called The Power to Change by Craig Groeschel. And it's very practical ways to change. So like things like habit stackers. If you're like me and you have your coffee every morning, I have I have my Bible next to my coffee so that I know this is when I'm gonna be sitting down and reading. I also then have a system where after that, I'm gonna go work out. So I have a routine, and the more that that becomes kind of this neural pathway in your brain, that when I do this, then I do this, then I do this, the more apt you are to keep with it. And then the last piece, so it's those getting after the thoughts, having a plan, doing like habit stackers or whatever it is. And then also having someone in your life who can check in on you, who you can share your goals with. And then also that they come back and they ask you how you did. That is probably one of the biggest things that can help with making lasting change. It's speaking out the goal to someone who then's going to check back in with you and see if you did it. That has the a huge impact. So, a lot of different pieces to change. It's not easy, but if you have a clear vision of where you want to get to in life, when you think about your life and you think 5 years, maybe 10 years down the road, do you have a vision of what you want that to look like? And then do you understand that there's pain associated with not changing? If you don't start to incorporate a healthier lifestyle, you may be feeling pain right now, but what will that pain be in 5 years or 10 years? So, again, change happens when we have a clear vision of where we want to go and we have an understanding of the pain associated with not changing. Does that make sense?
Hmm? Yes, it does. And it's amazing how aligning body, mind, and spirit can make change feel effortless instead of forced.
Yes, yes, we have to do all we can because again, not easy, but the more that you align your faith, your heart, your brain, your community, all of it, it will then really make a difference and knowing that why like I said. And the thing that happens so often is yes, there's pain associated with not changing. So if I right now have a sugar addiction, and it's causing me to have achy joints. I'm carrying extra weight. It's causing me to have inflammation in my body, all of this. Yes, there's pain right here. And I know the pain will only get worse in 5 years. But the challenge is when you first try to get off sugar, your pain is greater than the pain before you tried to get off sugar. And so often that can pull people away. They can't push through the increased pain level because I've lost sight of what life could look like when this is through. Like, the pain of getting off sugar is temporary. The pain of staying on sugar is lasting. So it's knowing there's going to be some pain. Change can cause immediate pain, and sometimes that pain is more than the pain you were currently experiencing. But you have to think past now. It's not it's not a sprint. This is a marathon. We have to think about the finish line. How do we want to feel? How do we want to live the rest of our life?
Yes, 100%. And comparison and shame are huge obstacles in today's fitness culture. How do you help your clients break free from those patterns?
Oh, I love that you brought those 2 things up because it is so true. In fact, right now, at Faithful Workouts, we are in the middle of No Shame November. Some people may have heard of No Shave November that a lot of the guys do. We're doing a No Shame November. And so we're just every day sending a little bit of information about shame and how it's impacting your life and how it's getting in the way of you making healthy changes. And so really just going after like them to say, think about, is there any shame in your life? How is this impacting it? What can we do to get rid of this shame? And often it's because the shame is based off of a lie. I'll tell you a story. There was a guy that I knew, a wonderful guy, and he had been calling himself an idiot. He didn't realize it until one day he started to pay attention, and he had called himself an idiot about 30 times in a day. And my husband asked him, "Where do you think that came from?" Because he shared this with us. And he sat for a second. So he took a thought, which is a lie, this I'm an idiot, and said, "Where did this come from?" And he went back and realized that his dad and his brother growing up used to always call him an idiot. So he had taken this lie and made it into a truth, which was causing it to be having shame. It wasn't that I've done some silly things, it's I am an idiot. And so shame is different from guilt. Shame is about who you are. And so if we don't address that lie that I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, all of that, it's going to really impact us as well as comparison. Like we are all created differently, different body structures, different faces, different everything. And to just like be able to say, I can see the beauty in me and it's different from the beauty I see in you. And to learn to be grateful for the way that you were created, for the beauty that's in you, and to just, I don't know, step out and it's not that you don't see the beauty in someone else, but you're not envious of it. It's not that you wish you were them. You're happy for them. Look at that beautiful part of you. And then I also have beauty in me. And so that can help. And I mean, it's hard. Right now in the world, we have so many images of these perfect looking bodies and faces. And, we're told this is what we have to get to. And it's like, not really. Like, who says we have to look like that? Who says we, have to dress like that? And so it's to just learn that I am fully loved by God. That's enough. I don't need more. That's enough. I'm fully loved by God. And then to step into your day, seeing your own beauty, taking on any thoughts that are telling you anything other than that, realizing they're a lie, getting rid of them, and yeah, just be grateful for the unique way that you were created.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And have you noticed a difference in how people show up once they start seeing themselves through God's eyes?
Absolutely. There's just a lot of messages that I get from people that they talk about how they had no idea they were listening to these lies. I had one woman today, in fact, send me an email and it said, I feel like I've buried my true self underneath layers of cement. That's how bad her shame was. And it wasn't until she could see that she was putting this pressure on herself and these lies just keeping her back from doing anything that she really wanted to do. And so she said that once she realized that this was what was keeping her literally buried, like keeping her from living, she said, I feel like today is the first day of the rest of my life. Like I'm going to be, capturing these lies and moving forward and making changes. There was one woman that I just loved, her name's April, and she was just a bigger person, like 5'10", just kind of a bigger person, and, she said, "For years, I exercised because I hated my body." She said, "Now I exercise because I love my body." And that's the kind of switch that we're looking for. Instead of thinking all about getting skinny, when we think about getting healthy instead of just getting skinny, we're really practicing self love and self care rather than self judgment. We're not judging the size of our body. We're giving ourselves self love and self care and trying to treat our body with kindness and love and move towards better health. Yeah, makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. And also, that perspective feels so freeing, like replacing pressure with purpose.
Yes, exactly. That's what I think a word that we hear like living free. But what does that really look like? What does that really mean? Freedom. Of course, we want freedom, but what does that really look like played out in your life? Something that we might easily say, but don't really know what that looks like. And I think For me in my life, it's freedom from living for love from other people. Like, I am not going into my day with the main goal of getting people to think I'm wonderful and love me. I go into my day believing that because God created me uniquely and wonderfully, and He loves me fully, I go into my day filled with love and looking for ways more to give love than to get love. And that's extremely freeing. You can always give love. You can't really control how people respond to you. So I think freedom is just a big word. And if we could stop worrying so much about what people think of us, we would live with so much more freedom. And also, when we just stop and think, okay, if I feel I want everyone to love me and then I'll be free, that would be the best thing ever. Well, everyone has a different viewpoint on how you should live your life. For me, some people think I talk about my faith too much. I exercise too much. I don't do it enough. The music's too loud in your workout videos. It's too quiet. There's all these different people that are letting you know their ideas on how you should live. And what I absolutely know is we'll never make them all happy. Never. It's not going to be a win situation when you are trying to make everybody in this world love you and think you're doing it just right. And so that is one of the most freeing things that you can have, and then also that gives you freedom to exercise and eat the way you feel is best for you. You're not trying to follow somebody else's diet or somebody else's exercise plan because they told you you should. You're able to do it your own way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And faithful workouts isn't just about fitness, it's a ministry. Like, how has the spiritual mission shaped your approach to coaching and community?
It's interesting. So as a founder of Faithful Workouts, and we started it back in 2009, my idea of success isn't based off of how many pounds people in my community have lost. That's one metric. Are you getting to a healthier weight? But that's not how we base it. We're really trying to get people to live with more joy, freedom, peace, get rid of shame. And and this might, it's not something I talk about often, but it's something that God absolutely put into my heart years ago when He was like, what's the mission? What's your kind of gauge for success when it comes to what you're doing? And it's based off a verse in the Bible. And the verse says, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. And what God said is, Michelle, I want faithful workouts to be about preparing people, both physically and spiritually, to go into this world and share my love and truth with people. That's really what success looks like, is when I hear from someone who feels have enough strength and energy, they have enough self love, they also know that God and Jesus it just radically changed their life. So they want to go out and share that good news with people. That is different, I think, than most fitness ministries or most fitness companies. But yeah, as a ministry, that is what we're really about, because I think also when you're living that way, when you're living with the freedom from all the people pleasing, when you're living with purpose every day because you know that you can be used to share love and truth with people, that's gonna bring you so much joy. Crazy study done, and it said that if you have purpose in your life, that you know that you're here to make a difference, it increases your life expectancy by 7 years. You know what would happen if we were able to eradicate all cancers in this world? It would increase your life expectancy by 7 years. So that's how powerful having purpose is, having meaning to your life. That's huge.
Yeah, and I love that. Blurring those boundaries reminds us that every act of care for our body can be an act of worship.
Yes, absolutely. There's another verse that I just love, and it says, "You're to use your whole body as a tool to do what is right for the glory of God." You're using a whole body. It's Romans 6:13. Like, everything you do, look at it as like the way I care for my body is so much more than just about me. It's about, I hope, a way that I can give glory to God. So if someone says to me like, "Wow, you're 63, you sure have a lot of energy. You don't look about," I can say, Well, you know what? I am so grateful that God's helped me on this journey. If it wasn't for him, I couldn't be here. I've trusted him and he's helped me. And now I'm able to use even the physical change and the energy that I have as a way to point people back to the one who's allowed me to do all this.
Yes, that's beautiful. So, what a heart centered conversation. Michelle's story reminds us that fitness isn't just about sculpting the body, it's about nourishing the soul. So, wherever you are on your journey, move with intention, eat with gratitude, and let your faith be the fuel that carries you forward. Stay balanced, stay inspired, and keep walking in your sacred harmony.